Good evening. I just jumped out of the shower and I thought this would be a good time to go into something I get a lot of questions about the mustache. And I wanted to do just a quick one to tell you guys how and why. It's a modified YusefWateef mustache. The thing about my mustache is this. It doesn't just start with the mustache. This is for anybody who wants to start one. It starts with your skin. And I'm going to go over a couple of the things that I was taught pretty early how to make it grow the right way and the correct way. I actually understand women a lot more since I grew this mustache because I have to worry about it. The first thing I'll tell everybody is this should go without saying: washing, hot water, soap, whole body every day, especially the face, especially that part on the side of the nose behind the ears. But it goes past that when you're dealing with something like your face. I started with making sure once every 2-3 days, boom, I exfoliate. An exfoliant is a gel or a soap with tiny microbeads in it. And you squeeze a little on the towel you're using, face rag, and you just get it in. You'll learn how hard to go on your own face. You'll learn very, very quickly how to make sure you go hard enough to dig in without ruining your face. And hey, how you doing, T. Kelly? Yes, indeed, I did say mustache. I can't type through right now because I'm doing stuff with my hands. I just wanted to say hello. So feel free to comment in the chat and I'll acknowledge everybody here instead of typing the way I normally do. But thanks for showing up. You're the first in town. I didn't even know if anybody would want to even see this. This was just something I had been asked about. So going back to the exfoliant, and if anybody has any suggestions on good exfoliants, let me know. I put a little on the towel and I really get in there, not just where the mustache is, but over my entire face, the sides of the nose, those areas, and of course, as I was always taught, behind the ears as well. Doing this every 2 or 3 days, your skin breathes better. You get out a lot of that oil that you don't even know is there. And it makes you feel refreshed. Every day I'm washing twice a day. And then 2 or 3 days after that, and I don't do this every 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 days after the exfoliant, I go to an extringent. An extringent, how do you describe? Well, you know what? What's the textbook definition of extringent? An extringent. I know how it makes my skin feel. I've never had to describe it. It constricts the skin. And the first couple of times you use an extringent, if you squeeze a little on your towel, and this is something you don't do in the shower, you do this when sitting in front of the mirror. Squeeze a little on your towel. Really get in there. Get into all the nooks and crannies, into the face, side of the nose, behind the ear, and I do my face in quarters. It's going to be half, half, before I apply more and use a different section of the towel. First time I looked at it, it was not good. I always considered myself a clean person, showering twice a day, soap, hot water all the time. But when you really get in there with an extringent and look at that towel after the first week you do it, every 2 or 3 days, so you're doing this, let's say, twice a week, and you're doing your exfoliant twice a week, you see a difference in the shade that comes off. Once you've done it for a week, your skin opens right up. And it feels interesting to talk about how your skin breathes. It breathes. And I'm doing this the entire time since the very, very first day I decided to grow my mustache. I started doing this and it saved me ingrown hairs. Now, if I skip 2 or 3 days, actually, I was a day or two off and I actually saw right in there, I started getting ingrown hair. That's not good. You do not want that at all. Once you start to grow your mustache in, let it overgrow. Let your whole face overgrow. Then you go to your barber. The barber, I took pictures of the kind of mustache that I wanted, different people that had different mustaches, guys like Bass Reeves and things like that, who, you know what, I think I've shown him before. Let me go here and type in Bass Reeves. He was a legendary lawman that was actually the basis of the Lone Ranger, but they did what's called whitewashing in Hollywood. When they made the Lone Ranger, they actually took him out of being a black person, made him white. And I'm going to show you Bass Reeves. That's an actual picture of Bass Reeves. And you can actually see here when they talk about him being the inspiration for Lone Ranger. I'll have to do a talk about Bass Reeves. He didn't just have a badass mustache. He was an actual badass human being. A lawman, no less. So going back to, oh, here's something interesting you might find. I started getting questions about this all the way back to when I was in my, on my Instagram, where I was being asked questions. Even there, you can see it didn't quite grow in all the way. It was decent, but I hadn't quite let it go wild yet. And then after that, I started getting questions about my barber. Go to a barber. I know a lot of guys that can do their own mustache, and that's great if you have a steady hand and the time to go through the process. But I'm here to tell you, it is a serious process to make sure you get the lines correct. It is no joke. And I don't ever want to be the guy who has to shave it all off because one day I got an itchy finger and bang, all of a sudden out of nowhere, my mustache got a nick in it. And now I've got to worry about, oh my goodness, it's not straight. And then you start shaving it closer and closer. It's just not a good look. I'm trying to find that picture of my barber. My barber shop got two guys that have been doing it longer than I've been alive. They've got pictures and memorabilia on the wall of things that they put up long before I spat upon this earth. Let me see if I can find that picture for you guys on my Instagram page. Everybody's free to join me on Instagram as well if you're interested. Let me go all the way back up. If I don't find it here in a second, I'm just going to go back to explaining what I have to do with my mustache. Yeah, the Lone Ranger. Yeah, you saw that. Now, once the mustache starts to come in, I would actually say before it comes in, you have to figure out you're going to have to brush your beard and your mustache before it's even there. That's the interesting part, because when you get a good quality brush, like this is my everyday carry, my EDC. I had to order it online because you can find big ones that men use for their hair, but a small one for my back pocket or my briefcase or my backpack. And I'm constantly doing this. Have it. Every time I eat anything or drink anything, got to go through to the bathroom, look at it, and brush it. Even if I can't go to the bathroom to look, guess what's going to happen? Bang, all the time. And that's a habit you have to develop because you don't want any chunkies in there from lunch or dinner or that just flew in. Side note, you have to take this in the shower with you every 2 or 3 days under hot water and soap. Give it a quick run through, run it under the hot water, take it out. You don't have to soak it, but you have to realize that you're doing this. So what's happening? You're collecting all of those particles inside this. If this isn't your style of brush, I went online and I got a few other things that didn't quite suit me, but I have them as backup. I got this cute little sachet with 2 in it. It's got a little oval brush that's a palm size. You can just do it like that and get it in there. And it came with its own little comb. You know, different guys flare their mustache a different way. By the way, speaking of mustache, does anybody know exactly what this is called? Some people call it a soul patch and some people call it a flavor saver for reasons we don't go into on YouTube, or I'll get thrown off YouTube. Another one, and this is something my Latino friends know about. These things right here with that little thing, you put it over your hand and they would brush their hair with it, but it's got these long, thick plastic bristles. Depending on your mustache and how you get it done and how you want it styled, you can do the exact same thing with this. It's all about finding the one that is correct for you and your face. But the biggest part is all about the maintenance of the cleanliness over and over and over. I cannot stress to you, you have to maintain a clean face. If you do not maintain a clean face, all this other pretty boy stuff goes right out the window, because when those hairs start to ingrow, or when you start to have junk inside there that you don't wash out, and a beard or and a comb or a brush that you don't wash out, it's game over. And I mean that. You can really go from looking like a guy who has a bit of flair, a bit of elegance, or a bit of panache, or just a wild man, to looking like a homeless person pretty quick. That's the other thing. When you do something with style, I can't miss it. It's called a goatee. See, O'Shea Lennox, I thought a goatee was the whole thing, O'Shea Lennox. I thought a goatee was the full thing, not just the mustache and the part down here. T. Kelly knows what's up with the flavor saver. But that's the other thing. You know, you have so many different styles of mustaches. I say start growing your facial hair. Go online and just look at a bunch. Find one that's right for you and find one that's not common. Find one that suits your face shape. Not everybody has the same face shape. Find a style that's not common, and so long as it's manicured well and barbered every 3 or 4 days, you can wear it into any professional environment. And I often forget that when I have this and I've got my sunglasses on, it makes everything extra. So I can actually look I can actually look more aggressive than I am because of the way I walk. Plus I've got sunglasses on and I've got this thing on. But at the same time, when I smile, it gives me an extra smile. So it's a magnifying glass. It accentuates whatever it is. Here, I just want everybody to know that T. Kelly knows what a flavor saver is. So it accentuates whatever it is your face is already doing. If you're frowning and you're angry, you're going to look a lot more angry and more aggressive. We have to remember we live in a world where the uniform you wear matters. If you're wearing a uniform that makes you look like a tough guy, you have to actually go that extra mile to decide either I am the tough guy or I'm going to use that to accentuate and be the friendly giant. Because people are what they look like. No matter what we talk about in this world, the uniform you wear matters. Had I chosen a different style of mustache, it would have a totally different effect. But I intentionally, and if you look to the side, if you notice the hairs, they just go wild. You know, I told my barber specifically, don't trim the upper lip, don't trim any of the length, just make sure my lines are always correct, and I just let it go like that. Now, what I'll also do, and we don't have, like I said, we don't, sorry about that, my light went out. Let's see here. Where'd it go? Uh-oh. Here we go. Back. I make my own mustache wax that gives it the form and the shape when I brush it down in the morning. I'm going to actually have to go into this in a different video, the process through which I make my own mustache wax and why it works for me and why my formula might not work for you. However, having said that, thanks for popping in with this. I'll be back tomorrow with some, or the next day, or whenever I feel like posting. I'm not one of those people that has to have a schedule. I just want you to know that whenever you see something, you'll come in because it'll be interesting to talk to me about. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I tell everybody this, share it somewhere. Share it on your Instagram or your Facebook, share it on your Tinder profile and say, hey, can we have an interesting conversation about something like this? Because if we can't go out, and we certainly can't save flavors together. Let's see, O'Shea, let's see. Oh my goodness. And that's how we're gonna end. O'Shea Lennox said, I was in the hospital once and the nurse said I had a flavor savior. First time I ever heard it, a flavor savior, not a flavor saver, a flavor saver. And I'm done with that. Good night, y'all. Hope everybody has a great day tomorrow.